Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Lovelands. We're back again. As you know, on Friday I released an episode which was just a bonus episode which was about lupus awareness. So I put it out there so that I can just spread some more awareness about something that is quite personal to me and Kari, who also came on. But I also wanted to take this time to say I'm back. Like, this is it. We're back for the second season of the 12 weeks schedule. And like, I really did enjoy last season's, but as soon as I was done with the 12, I was like, I need a break. I need time to just recruit and get back to just enjoying life a little bit more, because it felt a lot. But now I'm back, and the break was really needed and really something that I could like just take time to do things that I enjoyed. And one of those things that I did whilst I was off was watch Netflix. I love TV shows, I love series, I love you know this already. And so I've been watching Married at First Sight Australia. I've been watching Love Triangle, which I'm still watching at the moment. Hopefully soon I can do like my therapy take on that as well. And I also watched Baby Reindeer on Netflix. This is not like sponsored or anything, but it's one of those shows that I watch and I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is very interesting. And I seem to be watching a lot more shows about mental health issues and how they show up in the day-to-day. And this episode, this series, oh my god, guys, oh my gosh. It was like so hard to watch, but so gripping to watch as well. Because when I was watching it, I was like, I felt like I wanted to like take some of those characters and actually like look after them, because it just felt like, oh, this is too much. They need some empathy, they need some compassion, they need some grace. So I thought I would do this episode to kind of give my take on how things went on Baby Reindeer. So if you haven't watched it, there will be spoilers in this episode, and I'm not diagnosing anyone based on who they are. I'm like just speculating on the disorders that I would be thinking about if someone presented these kinds of things to me in a therapy room. It is not diagnosing them, it's just a speculation. So please do not say someone is this and this. No, these are just theories that are out there to kind of give some ideas, and every diagnosis or any issue that I mention has a spectrum. So not all these signs could be presented in someone who does have this any specific personality disorder that is mentioned in this video. So please do not like paintbrush everyone with this kind of a disorder with these kinds of symptoms, because everyone's disorder is different and it's all on a spectrum. Some people have it severe, some people have it mild, but just for information's sake I thought I'll put this video out so that people have some sort of idea of what this show is presenting and how it's such a good show. It's very relatable, and at times I saw parts of myself in Donny, because it was the people pleasing. I want to people please with this, or I want to gain validation from this thing that I'm doing, or these people that I'm with. So it was like very eye-opening, very triggering. So for this, it could be very triggering for some people as well. And the things that were coming up were very heavy. And in the first couple of episodes, I was like, wow, like this is a lot to deal with. Even as someone who's a mental health advocate, it's kind of like, for me, who knows how to cope with these things, it was still heavy. So I think some people, as we can see online, are finding other ways to cope with this kind of unknowing and these kinds of presentations of what mental illness looks like. So let me get into it. So if you have not watched the show, I'd say go and watch it and then come back. But if you haven't watched it and you don't want to watch it, the show is about the main character who is a comedian. He's also the writer, director, and actor as the main character. He's actually the writer and director as well of the series. And he is a bartender, and a woman comes into the bar, and he offers her she asks for a cup of tea, he offers her, she can't pay for it, so he pays, he gives it to her on the house, and from then on, she continues to come into the bar every day, asking for the same drink every day, and he always gives it to her for free. So she attaches onto him in that sense, and he knows it's unhealthy, but he enjoys him seeing her and him being seen by her, if that makes sense. But later on throughout the series, we find out why he's entertaining this attachment, with his own wounds being nurtured through this relationship. We find out that in one of the episodes that he suffered from SA, after he's asked why didn't he come to the police sooner with this issue of stalking. And when we watched the whole show, we realised that he could relate to her because he could see parts of himself in her. The people-pleasing part in the beginning gives us an idea that he has a sense of wanting to gain validation, and we can see this also in the career path that he's gone into, being a comedian, and him having this cycle of, oh, I need to make people laugh, I need to make people feel better. So he tries to engage in that by continually just trying to appease her with certain things, or just continue to like offer her the free drinks, or in sense of like just gaining some sort of attachment to her, which was very eye-opening in the beginning. And as you watch on, you start to see that this people-pleasing wasn't just with Martha, but it was who was his stalker, but also with his perpetrator of SA as well, who he just wanted to gain validation from. He wanted to gain that relation, like some sort of ego boost from. And as we go on to watch, you slowly get into it and notice that he really does want to be seen, because I think the reason why he kept on giving Martha a pass on what was happening was because she saw that someone had hurt him, and she could read it from his expressions, and she verbally said it, so it made it easier for him to relate that, oh, actually someone sees me. But after having that incident with SA, I think he lost himself so much that he started doing risky behavior, started trying to find himself, because his identity had been rocked after that traumatic event. And sometimes with traumatic events, we see that people trying to, especially SA, we see people trying to gain some sort of control again. So they go out there expressing their sexuality, but in a controlled, feeling like they're in control of what's happening, rather than the experiencing controlling them, or their perpetrator controlling them. They start to feel like, I need to take control of the situation, so they go into risky behavior, as we see in that episode. And we also see him you also see him go back to his perpetrator as well, which is also his way of trying to gain some sort of control, because if I go to him, he's not the one pursuing me, I'm the one pursuing it. So it's a shift in, oh, actually this is this is me doing this. But we keep on seeing that he gets into this cycle of like getting somewhere with someone and then it being like him self-sabotaging it, because he hasn't really identified where this need is coming from, and he keeps on, when he does gain that need, he gets scared and self-sabotages. He gets the need and self-sabotages it, but he's not understanding the root of where that need is coming from, which when you're in therapy, you start to find these patterns and start to understand where that need is coming from and how to counterbalance the sabotage with actual healthy mechanisms in order to gain those kinds of security around those things. But we see that he gets to certain points, he like gets to a certain point in his comedy where he's actually getting a good response from people, he's getting comfortable with things, and then he self-sabotages again. So there's always some sort of self-sabotage, even in his relationship with Terry. He comes into the relationship not as himself, he comes in as a alias of himself, because he doesn't want to, he's still going through his identity like crisis at this point, because he's trying to find connection, but he doesn't even have the connection with himself. So when he does get into it, it's like the world is coming down. So yeah, it's a very interesting show to watch. And when you start to unpick the different facets and the different needs that each of the characters have, I've just spoken mostly about Donny, but there's also needs in Martha that we find out towards the end of the show, and how she saw Donny. So that character is giving a need to the other character, and the other character is also fulfilling a need in the other. So it's like they're both living in this dynamic of I need you, you need me kind of situation, and that's why I'm staying here, which a lot of people can relate to when they're in abusive relationships, or in a relationship where they're not happy but they know that their needs are being met, so they stay in those relationships. And that's why he kept on going back to her, even though he knew that she was a convicted stalker. He kept on going back because he could see what he needed from her and wanted to hold on to that. And Terry pointed it out to him, but he could not see that because he was so enmeshed with how he was feeling when he was around her, that it will go up and then it'll come down, and it'll go up and it'll come down, and it'll go up and come down. With Martha, a lot of the signs that I was seeing in her is she was going through, a lot of signs that I could see with her was she was very obsessive with having attached to him. There was also moments of her being quite high in emotion, quite positive, quite affirming, and then there'll be very low lows where she's like sat at the bus stop in the cold, crying and freezing basically. So these ups and downs, some people may see and just like identify as maybe this is bipolar, maybe, or maybe this is her just being too much. But I think when you watch it and you start to see some of the patterns of her stalking and her attachment to Donny, and also the delusion around how things seem, and her the idea that they're in a relationship in her head, whereas verbally that conversation has never happened. In her head, she's in a relationship with him, so she doesn't see why this is happening. And her turning on Donny when she's not getting what she needs from that relationship, I think those are signs of borderline personality disorder. and it's a fixation on I need to be needed, I need to um, to be connected to someone, I need to feel the connection. Some people would say that there's a crossover with the bipolar, there's a crossover with the borderline personality, there's also a crossover with narcissism as well, personality disorder, where he was there for her. She was like, in the beginning we see her just talking about herself all the time, and then talking about how, like, and complimenting him and love bombing him at the beginning about what he's like, he's this, he's that, he's got a nice bum, he's got this, he's got that, and just like building him up. But we see that this was always her seeing him as a possession, even calling him baby reindeer. And then when you fast forward all the way to the end and realize that she had associated him as the replacement of her baby reindeer when she was younger, and felt like she was in a unsafe place, so she felt safe with him. So it was kind of that feeding into, oh, actually I found my thing, and this is the thing that's going to keep me safe, and I'm going to hold on to it until, like, as long as I can, because this is the thing that's keeping me safe. And with these kinds of disorders, sometimes you need a team of people to actually help you through your understanding of your behaviors, in order for you to get past a certain level of comfortability with certain things, which I think that's what's also sparked a lot of this after the series, people looking for Martha to find out where she is and trying to gauge whereabouts, how she's doing now, what's going on, what actually happened to her after the 9-month sentence, all of these things. And I think it's people's way of trying to figure out what was the underlining issue with everything. Why did she get to where she was? What happened? And people probably want a series 2 just to find out what happened to her after they did, because Donny was so obsessed afterwards with the videotapes and listening to it over again. Did he reach out to her? What happened after? So I think that's where people are gripped in that storyline, and want to know what's going on. What happened to her? How did she get help? Did she get to a place where she could be in a relationship and still have no delusions on it being just an obsessive thing? So yeah, it's a very interesting show. I didn't even touch much on Dom's experience with SA, but I feel like that's a triggering topic for some people, so I don't want to go too deep into it. But you can see how that event kind of spiraled, and he lost his relationship with his girlfriend at the time. He also didn't go to the police about that incident, and you could feel it in the recordings and the way the show portrays that character, the producer character. It's very cold, it's very there's no empathy there for that character. But then when you watch Martha and her relationship with Don in the episodes, you see there's a lot more empathy, and that's why it took him so much longer to go to the police, because he could see a part of himself in her. Whereas with the producer, there's no real understanding as why he was taken advantage of, but he kept on going back because it's someone he saw that gave him value, in the sense of, oh, if I work with this person, I'm going to get here in my career. And it was grooming. He was very much groomed into that role as it went on. So that part of it can be quite tricky to diagnose, to sit with. And I don't want to sit there too long, because I know that this is about the main characters really in the show, which was Martha and Donny. That's why I tried to like maybe sit with them too, but it's because it's part of Donny's story. It gives context to the relationship between him and Martha, and the reason why he was behaving in the way he was. But the people pleasing in him, it seems like that was before he even met the producer, because it seemed like he wanted to please, he wanted to gain validation externally as well. So I think that was probably from his childhood, but we don't have much insight into his childhood. We just know that we just know that he moved to London in order to pursue his dreams to being a comedian. So we see how this all like intertwines with each other, and how he ended up seeing himself at the end as a Martha character when he gets the free drink from the bartender. And it's very much like the perpetrator triangle that I'm seeing here. I'm seeing there needs to be a victim, there needs to be a savior, and there needs to be a perpetrator. And in that triangle, we see different elements, and we see it shifting constantly between Martha and Donny. 1 minute Donny's the victim and Martha's the perpetrator. 1 minute he's the perpetrator and she's the victim. So there's this constant shift between the two of them, where their roles are constantly changing, which makes the dynamic of the relationship very uncertain, very unsure to him, but to him it feels quite secure. So because one of them sees themselves as the victim or perpetrator, at one point the perpetrator becomes the savior, and then it's just a constant moving around, which makes it such an, if you see it from that perspective, you kind of start to see why they stay in that loop of, I'm going to keep on staying in contact with this person because it's helping me, they save me at certain points, even though sometimes they are the person hurting me, but they save me at the same time. And they see me, and their saving could just be because they see me, they see what I've been through. That's enough for them to be a savior in my eyes. So it's been a very nice break, and it's been nice to be able to even take the time to watch this this series, and have some sort of like some sort of, it was nice to take this break and just enjoy watching a series again. Even though I still have my therapist hat on sometimes, it's nice to just watch it and be like, oh wow, like these are the things that could walk into my room and actually make me want to do more research on different subjects and different ways in how to treat these things. So it gave me a lot more inspiration on how to be as a therapist, and what I could be sitting with as a newly qualified therapist. These kinds of things come up and you're like, wow, I need to like maybe spend more time researching these things so that I can gain more understanding about it, and how I can also help build more on this. So I've really enjoyed just having the time to do that and taking the break out. The next season is going to be a whirlwind of things, but next week I have a guest on, and I'm looking forward to like exploring a little bit more with more therapists. And in this season there is going to be a few more of these, because I do really enjoy watching Netflix. So some of the shows that I've watched, I'm also going to like actually do more videos on and get more insights on how we can show grace to these people, because knowing people with these kinds of disorders and these theories, though, with these disorders or these kinds of patterns, help us understand and see parts of ourselves in them and why we do certain things. So just maybe shining light on why people do what they do can give some sort of insight to why we do what we do as well, which would be nice to explore more of. So in that aspects, I'm gonna love and leave you guys, and I will try and get onto watching these things. And then if you have any shows that you want me to critique or look into, just comment below and write your ideas and thoughts in there, and then I will produce what I can around those. I will try and get those done for you so that you can also see it from my perspective. But I am looking so much forward to the new season and everything that's going to come from it. But on that note, guys, I'm gonna love and leave you, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye guys.